Let me ask you this: do you have weapons in the house?
I do.
Are they accessible to him?
They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded, but they are down.
Okay.
We do a lot of shooting. We do a lot of deer hunting. He shot his first deer this year.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so like I'm pretty much in shock, to be honest with you.
Well,
I'm a little pissed off, to be even really honest with you. So I'm a little taken back by the whole thing, but I can tell you this: I take that very serious, and so does he. As a matter of fact, like I don't know anything about him saying shit like that, and I'm gonna be mad as hell if he did. And then all the guns will go away, and they won't be accessible to him. You know, I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm trying to teach him about firearms and safety and how to do it all, and get him interested in the outdoors. Mm-hmm. Like on my phone,
get him away from those video games.
Exactly right. That's the God honest truth. And the picture on my phone is him with blood on his cheeks from shooting his first deer. It was just the greatest day ever. Yeah, so. Sure.
That was the voice of Colin Gray, the father of Colt Gray, a 14-year-old school shooter. Just 2 days ago, on September 4th, 2024, Colt Gray, age 14, opened fire at Apalachee High School in Winder, Georgia. He killed 4 people. Apalachee High is about an hour north by northeast of Atlanta and about 25 miles west of Athens, Georgia. And there are about 1,900 students at Apalachee High School. 2 students were killed and 2 teachers were killed. The 2 students who died were both 14. First was Mason Schermerhorn and then Christian Angelos. And I hope I'm pronouncing those names correctly. If I'm not, I mean no disrespect. The teachers who died were Richard Aspinwall, age 39, and Christina Iremai, age 53. And this information comes from Chris Hosey, the director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Christian's older sister, Lisette, I don't know how to say her name, Lisettee, Angelo, created a GoFundMe for her young brother, and this made me so teary the first time I read it. This is what she wrote in support of her family during this time. My name is Lisette Angelo. I am Christian Angelo's oldest sister. Unfortunately, my baby brother was one of the victims of the school shooting at Apalachee High School. He was only 14 years old. He was a very good kid and very sweet and so caring. He was so loved by many. His loss was so sudden and unexpected. We are truly heartbroken. He really didn't deserve this. We kindly ask if you could help us with any donations to help us with expenses for his funeral ceremony due to his loss being so sudden. We appreciate anything you can give. We would also appreciate any prayers at this time. Thank you. A similar GoFundMe was created for Shayna Aspinwall, who is the widow of Richard Aspinwall. And this is what his GoFundMe says. We are all in shock over the news that Ricky Aspinwall lost his life protecting his students. Please consider donating to help Shayna Aspinwall with expenses she will have to incur and make sure her 2 precious babies are taken care of. I would love to raise enough to provide Shayna the opportunity to stay at home with her girls. We love the Aspinwalls. Thank you in advance for helping. All funds received will be transferred directly to Shayna to pay life expenses and afford to take time off work. Apalachee football also expressed their grief about the death of Richard, and they wrote, "To our beloved defensive coordinator, Ricky Aspinwall, we will carry you heavy in our hearts." If you check out the description of this video, there is a link to the Murder PM article about this story, and the GoFundMe links are in that article. 9 others, 8 students and 1 teacher, were also taken to the hospital to be treated for their injuries. And according to Judd Smith, the Barrow County Sheriff, all of them are expected to survive. So that's good. Though this is super sad for the victims. Like, one day you just go to school, or you work at the school in the case of the teachers, and you never go back home. One of the craziest things about this is that Colt Gray apparently this was like his second day there, but it was only his first full day. He was new at this school, and he had gone to the school, but he left early the first day for, I don't know what the reasons are. So this was actually it was supposed to be his first full day at the school, and he did this. He had only enrolled in the school 2 weeks prior. There was a junior at the school named Lila Sayarath, and she said that she was sitting right next to Colt Gray during algebra class. So she pretty much watched this all unfold, and all of the students who were in his class survived, and this is what happened. She told CNN that Colt left at the beginning of their class around 9:45 a.m. and about 45 minutes later, active shooter alerts started to go out. According to law enforcement, Gray opened fire at approximately 10:23 a.m. When Gray left, he didn't take a bathroom pass, and Sayarath noticed this, so she thought he was just like skipping class. But a short while later, he tried to get back into the classroom, but couldn't. I guess the doors lock automatically or something, and you have to, like, someone has to open them for you. So a student got up to go open the door, but then they looked through the window and they saw Colt Gray standing there and were like taken aback because they noticed that he was holding a gun, and they refused to let him into the room. So once he realized he wasn't going to get into the room, he started looking around the hallway and noticed that the classroom next door, that their door was like left wide open. So he just started firing into that classroom. Sayarath said that Colt fired bullet after bullet. Quote, "When we heard it, most people just dropped to the floor and like kind of crawled in an area like piled on top of each other." There was also a student named Ethan Clark who texted his mom, Erin, and Erin Clark shared the text message conversation that they had. She got this message at 10:23 in the morning from her son that said, "School shooting right now. I'm scared. Please. I'm not joking." And she said, "I'm leaving work." And her son said, "I love you." She said, "Love you too, baby. Where are you?" And he said, "Class, someone's dead." So she posted this text conversation to Facebook and said that this was, quote, her worst fucking nightmare. Ethan said that he and his classmates worked together to barricade the door with their desks, and his mom said, quote, "I'm so proud of him for doing that. He was so brave." The police response to this was very quick. Apparently, well, according to GBI, the police arrived on scene within minutes of hearing from the Apalachee High School's resource officer, who basically sent out, like, there's an active shooter, over the radio. They just went right in, like they handled this very, very quickly, and they located Gray and he surrendered, and the police took him into custody.
Single file line down this aisle right here after this deputy. Hurry up now, come on, let's go.
What the?
We got a whole school to get evacuated, people. Come on now.
Far left. Just move with purpose, come on.
According to Colt Gray's aunt, Annie Brown, she said that her nephew had been, quote, begging for help from everybody around him. This was in reference to his serious mental issues. The adults around him failed him. No kidding. And as you heard in that audio clip, Colt's father was arrested for this. Colt obviously was too, but this is one of the first instances that I can think of where a parent was actually arrested as well. And I'll get into his charges later, but he has been charged with involuntary manslaughter among a number of other felonies, like endangering children and etc. And we will get to why, because this is one of the craziest aspects of this entire story. Colt's aunt said that she was very concerned because Colt had access to a gun and she knew about it. She also said that her mother, or that would be Colt's grandmother, went to that school actually to see what counselor resources there were for the teen, because she was like, he's very troubled. You know, he needs to talk to somebody. In a message from the grandmother, she actually said, and this occurred a week before the shooting. The grandmother wrote, "Starts with a therapist tomorrow." So he'd been asking for months and months and months for help, and everyone around him knew that he needed help. Like, he was having serious mental disturbances. I mean, obviously, look at what he did. And it was only a week before the shooting that he saw a therapist. So I'm sure that therapist doesn't feel great about that. But it seems like, You know, usually if you're seeing a therapist, especially like a school counselor, I'm just assuming this, I do not know, but that would be like once a week. So I'm assuming they just had like a preliminary session. They probably didn't even get into his issues. It was more of like an introductory meeting, probably. Where is Colt's mother in all of this? You know, we've heard from his dad, his aunt, his grandmother, but his mom is a complete mess of a woman. Her name is Marcy, and last December she pleaded guilty to charge of domestic violence, or the charge was family violence. She was ordered to have no contact with her husband. Marcy went to Georgia Southern University and listed quality engineer on her LinkedIn as her profession. She has a long criminal history: drugs, domestic violence, property damage, DUI. Even more charges appear on her rap sheet, which spans 17 years in 4 different counties, and this is according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Lauren Vickers, who is a neighbor of the Grays, said, like, she lived right next door in Jefferson, Georgia, and she said that there were, quote, problems immediately. She said that when the family moved next door to her, that, like, it drew attention instantly, and that Marcy was the main problem, and that she was just heartbroken by the things that she saw. Quote, I would find her in the driveway passed out with the car running and blaring music early in the morning. She also said that the youngest Gray children would come into her yard and ask her for food. It was constant abuse. It was very, very sad. There were nights where the mom would lock him and his sister out the house, and they would be banging on the door, just screaming like, Mom, 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 and crying. It was absolutely devastating. That is really, really sad. This is an interesting quote from the neighbor. This is in regards to Colt Gray. She said, he wasn't a bully or a mean kid. He just didn't say much. He was so quiet. She also said that he was a classmate of her daughter, Berlin. Vicky, on a number of occasions, actually called Child Protective Services, and she said, they came, talked to me, and did nothing. The Grays' former landlord also corroborated what their neighbor Vicky said. They said this. He's talking about Marcy. She was locking them out in inclement weather, freezing weather. And he added that Marcy was a fuck up. And he said that Colin, the dad, was trying his best to be a stand-up guy. So the day after the shooting happened, on September 5th, Colin was arrested. He was arrested for letting his 14-year-old son possess a weapon. So this is where the story gets particularly interesting, in my opinion, because with a lot of school shooters, you know, we hear stories about their families, but the parents aren't really held to any kind of like standard by the law, if you will. And Colin being arrested highlights a real crazy aspect of the story. Apparently, because of an FBI tip, the cops had visited their house, and they visited because of things that Colt was writing on Discord. Apparently the police had visited their family in like May or June of the previous year, and that Christmas, even though they literally confronted Colin being like, your son is writing these things on the internet and we're very concerned, but apparently they couldn't arrest Colt because they couldn't prove, maybe he was using a VPN or something, but they couldn't prove that he was the one who wrote them. Now, Colt told law enforcement that the things that he had written online, that his Discord, they weren't him. He said that his Discord account had been hacked, and they looked at the posts and they were from multiple different locations in the US. So it's possible Colt's account was, hacked, or it's possible he was using different VPNs to obscure his location, and he did post those things. Honestly though, he did what he did. He went into a school and he killed 4 people. So, it seems likely that he posted those things. The FBI couldn't prove that it was him, so nothing happened. But then that Christmas, so just like 6 months later, Colin gave his son an AR-styled rifle as his Christmas present. And that was the firearm that his son used in the school shooting. So Colin Gray now faces charges because of the things that his son has done, and these giving him the gun that resulted in this occurring. These charges include second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and cruelty to children.
He knows the seriousness of weapons and what they can do and how to use them and not use them. So it's kind of a little bit of a shock. So in whatever y'all are telling him, please instill in him that if this is whatever or wherever this is coming from, it's no joke.
No.
Like, it's no joke.
Well, we wouldn't be here if it was.
No, I know. And I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit. All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah,
Hey, are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
Yeah.
Because you never really know, and I don't want anything to happen to him. So, yeah. Y'all
all right. Well, if you want to grab them,
yeah, y'all talk.
Or we can go in. It's
all cool. Hang on.
So the FBI incident report that was made in May of 2023 was because of these posts that Colt made on his Discord. And this is what he said. I'm committing a mass shooting and I'm waiting a good 2 to 3 years. And then he said, I can't kill myself yet because I'm not contributing anything to culture. I need to go out knowing I did. His account also referenced Adam Lanza, who is the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooter. And in other posts, he said that he had a desire to shoot up an elementary school like Adam Lanza did. And also he said that he had a frustration with the acceptance of transgender people. So that's all that I've really seen on this, and I don't really know the details of that. Colt told the police that he had deleted his Discord account, and Colt also expressed concern to the police that someone would falsely suggest that he would say anything like that. He told the police that he, quote, would never say such a thing, even as a joke. So he was aware enough that the things that he was ostensibly, allegedly writing on the internet were not okay. He was aware enough to know that the things that he wanted to do weren't okay, and he had been asking for mental health help for months and months and months. So he knew inside that he wasn't doing well, and he went out and did this anyway. So that happened in May. So then December, 7 months later from the time that the FBI was alerted about this and they filed an incident report, Colt's dad, Colin, bought his son an AR-15, or an AR-styled rifle. Colt's dad said that he was trying to teach him how to use a gun properly and that he was not allowed to use them unsupervised. I don't know. But the weirdest thing about Colt's accounts is that the account that these posts came from was created after Colt said that he deleted his account. So this would have been a new account. And his profile name was written in Russian, but it translated to mean Lanza, which obviously is a reference to Adam Lanza because posts made from the account talked about Adam Lanza. And that is the connection that the investigators made. That's what they believe the purpose of the name was. We have an article on Murderpot magazine about Adam Lanza, about the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. If you want to go read about that, it is linked in the article that is linked in the description of this video. Colin told the police that his son Colt did not know or speak any Russian, and that the reason his son stopped using Discord was because, quote, too many people kept hacking his account. Colin also said something strange. He said that his son was, quote, afraid someone would use his information for nefarious purposes. He also noted that his son was often bullied. But look, it's one thing if Colt didn't go just kill 4 people at a school. He is now a school shooter. He is facing charges for that and taking the lives of 2 students and 2 teachers. So it's a one thing for him to be like, that's not my account, if he hadn't done this. But he has done this. So it's really hard to it's not hard to believe that accounts get hacked. That happens all the time. But it's hard to believe that he was just worried for no reason that his account might be used for nefarious purposes and he would never do anything, but he did do this. So like, and that's not even just the part about his dad getting him an AR-15 for Christmas blows my mind. A 14-year-old, and I'm pro-gun. Like, I have no problem with people owning guns, or even kids his age learning how to use a firearm, as long as it's locked away and they can't gain access to it, or, you know, even with the police coming to your house to hear that stuff. Even if you already owned guns, I would have moved them to like a storage unit to ensure my kid didn't have access to them. I would have put them in therapy immediately, not over a year later. The FBI files a report, and law enforcement comes to visit your house, and your kid is not in freaking therapy the next week. I know therapy is expensive. I have no idea what their financial situation looked like. But in my opinion, it seemed like if you needed it to happen, you could have figured it out. You could have gone to, there are free resources online. You could have asked family members for help. You could have gone to the school or something. There are ways to figure this out. And it seemed like it wasn't a priority because Colt wasn't put in therapy until over a year later. It was the week before the shooting, so that would have been in late August 2024. It's really crazy. I don't understand why the dad would buy a freaking gun for his kid for Christmas after all of this happened. I guess he just believed Colt. He must have just believed him when he was like, people are hacking my accounts, Dad. I would never say that stuff. Not even joking. And I guess his dad just believed him, you know? I mean, obviously, you hear it in the audio. He's in shock pretty much. And he says he's pissed that this is even happening to him, which to me comes across as a really narcissistic type response. How dare you arrest me? All I did was give my 14-year-old, who the FBI had been watching their Discord, a gun. I do think it's sad that Colt was often bullied. I think it's sad how neglected he seemed to be at home, especially the stories about his mom were just awful. And that really is such a common thread that we see with school shooters. The bullying and the neglect is rampant. Also, according to an anonymous law enforcement official, after they got a warrant and searched the house, the Gray's house, they found writings that referenced other school shootings, past school shooters, particularly Parkland, the 2018 Parkland, Florida school shooting. There was also an article linked to that in our magazine, so check out the link below. I am just impressed with how quickly teachers responded to this, and there had also been new school safety protocols put in place that helped this. I was very curious about the fact that once a student left, they couldn't get back into the room unless someone opened the door for them, and I'm wondering if that is I don't know if it's a new protocol or not, but I thought it was interesting and a really good idea that the doors just automatically lock and you can't get into them unless it's from the inside or you have a key. GBI Director Chris Hosey said, quote, "The protocols in this school and this system activated today prevented this from being a much larger tragedy than what we had." I also think that law enforcement acted very, very quickly. They went right into the school. They arrived only a few minutes after, and they went right in and engaged the shooter. So that was very well done, in my opinion. Colt Gray remains in custody. He is being held without bond. And though he is only 14, he will be tried as an adult for multiple felony murder charges. His father, Colin, is also still in custody, and he is being charged with 14 total felonies. Earlier today, September 6th, Colt appeared in court for the first time, and he only kind of muttered 2 words. He said, "Yes, sir," to the judge. He was only in court for about 11 minutes, and yeah, there is a lot more that will unfold, and I am super interested to see what other evidence they have on Colin, Colt's father specifically, and the like what all he knew about this, because being like charged with multiple felony counts of endangering children is incredibly serious. I'm interested to know if Colt's father knew that he was writing things about Adam Lanza on the internet, or the Parkland shooter, and like why on earth he would give his kid an AR styled rifle, and also what kind of access Colt had to that, because clearly he was able to bring it to school with him, which is crazy. Also, I have not seen a history of school shootings really anywhere that's this comprehensive, but Murder Pop Magazine, which is my platform, has a full history of school shootings if you want to go check those out. Support me by liking and subscribing here on YouTube and leaving a comment and sharing this video. And also, if you would like to become a paying subscriber to Murder Pop Magazine, go check that out. You will get a copy of my book, Bound to Kill: The Untold Story of Delia Day. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Victoria Evans. Be safe out there.